ain't no game. It's hurting hard, too many stars. Pain buried real deep in my soul. There are times when it consumes me whole. The pain that I hide is the pain I can't let nobody see. I cried many nights to the people I lost, but for the friends I made. I'm blessed as can be, can't look back. So I'ma
Y'all probably wonder why. Y'all probably why I start this video. Before I get to the video, this one I'm gonna do. Subscribe. Now, subscribe to my channel. Road to 1K. Subscribe. Get on subscribe, I'm gonna cry. Subscribe. If y'all fuck, I'm gonna cry. Yeah, I'm doing 1K. They got doing 15, but that will give 1K. Come on, man. Give me that. Subscribe. Please subscribe. Okay, on the video. This is. What up, YouTube? It's your boy, the GOAT. And I'm back on the video. I ain't vlogging. Downtown Ghost Walk. Make sure you like and subscribe. We deep out here. It's only two of us. Well, we in the back. Well, yeah. First time vlogging on the computer. I'm scared. Yep, vlogging on the computer. First time vlogging on the computer. If I computer died like 5 minutes, you know why. Walking down the street.
I need to pick up everybody's tickets. At this time, I should have picked it up before. Okay, yelled at if I don't. Okay,
Oh my god.
thank
The ghost over ticket.
you. Thank you, thank you. All right, come on up.
Oh.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this bank was built in 1835. It was designed by a man named George Steele. How many of you have heard the legend that Jesse James robbed this bank and he jumped off the back porch on his horse into the stream below? And nobody's ever heard that? You heard it? I'm sorry, but it's not true. How many of you have heard that in this part of the bank, slaves were kept as collateral against their master's debts? Anybody? That is true. Now, we walked into the area with our medium, and we heard some very interesting things. Our medium made contact with the slaves, the ghosts that are down there. One of them has jaundiced eyes that are running, and the others are trying to stay away from him because they don't want to get sick. They're afraid they're going to get sick too. One of them says, I can read. And one of them is reciting biblical verses. By his stripes you are healed. Jesus said to the thief, before this day is over, you will be with me in paradise. So I was taking notes. I was writing as fast as I could. And one of the ghosts asked me through the medium, where did you learn how to read and write? I said, New Mexico. That's where I'm from. The ghost said, you mean Mexico? I said, no, New Mexico. The ghost said, there ain't no such place. Think about it. This was the contact that we made before the Civil War. New Mexico didn't become a state until 1912. There was no New Mexico at that time. We went into the next room, which was the vault. And our medium saw there were two ghosts. They were Union soldiers, and they were ransacking. They were pulling out drawers. They were upending everything they could find. They were looking for cash, for gold, for property deeds, for papers of important people, any information that would be of value to the Union Army. One of them says to the other, hurry up, in 10 minutes we've got to burn this place down. The first one says, you can't burn this place down. It's made out of rock. Inside that vault is a wall that is brick and it's covered with plaster. The plaster was coming off, and our medium put his hands on the brick, on the original piece of that wall, and he heard a voice, get your damn hands on Get your damn hands off my wall. And so he did. We went upstairs, and there we encountered a woman who gives her name as Lily. Now, Lily says, "You leave them alone down there. Leave them alone. You're causing trouble by being here." What are we doing? You're nosing around. It's none of your business. Leave them alone. Well, who are you to them? I asked. I take care of them. I make sure they have food, and they have doctors, and they have clothes. I take care of them because I like them. I love them. Go away. I said, "Are you a secretary?" She says, but she doesn't know what that means. She's a bookkeeper. She says, "I know what they call me. They call me the taskmaster. And we have a lot of work to do. We don't need you disturbing us. Go away." I said, "Did you know George Steele?" "I knew him, but he's been gone a long time." Now, the interesting thing about this building, like I said, 1835 is when it was built. George Steele died in 1855. He left a very interesting will. He left $12,000 to a mulatto slave by the name of Elizabeth or Bet, and her children, her 4 children. She names them right child by the name of, right child by the name of, and with instructions that when he died, take them to a free state and set them up with a place to live and a means of making a living. And they were taken to Ohio. Now, why do you suppose he did that? Any money that was left over would pay his bills after that, and any money after that went to his wife and children. Why did he leave that money to Elizabeth? Because nobody's going to see it. They were his children. They could pretend to be, the children can pretend to be white and live free. All right, let's go down the street to our next stop, this street. Oh, it's not great. It's great.
Ugh. Can't count.
Have any of you ever been in that building across the street?
Nope.
Anybody know what it is? Can you gather up like a bunch of grapes? Because it's going to be loud on this street here. So that is the Hunley Fees house. Now, if you look at the sign, the first name on those signs is usually the person who built the house. The second name is usually the person who owns it now. When we walked up to that place with a medium, our medium said, "Is there anybody here?" He says, "Which you really should not do because you might invite trouble." And a voice came out, "Yes, I'm here." "Well, who are you?" "Hunley." "Okay, that's Oscar Hunley." Oscar was an attorney for the railroad, and he was also a politician. And he was one of those personalities that's bigger than life. Now, you all have somebody in your family. When they come for dinner, they kind of suck the energy out of the room. And when they leave, you're kind of like drained, right? Psychic vampires, we call them. So that was kind of like Oscar was. Somebody, who did you, her uncle? Was it?
Her sister.
Oh.
I'm not a psychic vampire. I'm not in trouble if she agrees with me, right?
That may be. Okay, that may be you. I had an uncle. Anyway, Oscar, when he built this house, it was the first house that had indoor plumbing, about 1900, I think. Yes. Oscar wanted to was appointed as a federal district judge when they created a new area here in North Alabama. So it was the President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt Oscar. Formally, they have to, be the one to offer. Do you want to be the new federal district judge? Sure. So he took office, but the catch was he had to have confirmation of the Senate. The Senate did not confirm him. Oscar, you want to try it again? Yeah, I'll try it again. Again, the Senate would not confirm him. Third time now, President tapped. Oscar, do you want to try it again? He says, no thanks, I'm done. Oscar had done something that was so terrible that it ended his political career. I would ask you to guess, but you will never get it. Oscar was a Democrat and he became a Republican. It's all the rage now, right? But in the early 1900s, that was a big no-no, especially in Alabama when everybody was a Democrat, and if you were a Republican, they'd put you on the courthouse square and let everybody come look at you because it was so unusual. So Oscar sold everything, lock, stock, and barrel, and he went down to Birmingham. Now his ghost is there, and he says, "Look at my shoes, look at my belt buckle." Oscar became very involved in ballroom dancing. And he got a belt buckle in competition. He had his dancing shoes. And he said, I have all the ladies' names right here in my pocket. Well, in those days, if you went to a dance, you had a dance card. And you would put your name on the card, and then when it was your turn, then you just didn't walk up to somebody and say, hey, you want to dance? You didn't do that. So Oscar was quite proud of himself. Now, so we asked him, is there something that you can say that proves you are who you say you are? He says, you look up a certain incident in Huntsville's history, and you will find my name affiliated with it. And we did. He is there part of the time. He's not always there. He's a very active ghost. By the way, we're told that when we die, our energy stays, and our spirit can come and go. We're not necessarily confined to heaven or and Oscar is one of those. Very, very strong personality. If you have a strong personality, by the way, you are protected from evil. Good to know, isn't it? So one night when I was giving this tour, there was a lady who said, I worked in that building one day. She said there were some strange things that were happening. I couldn't come back. In the kitchen especially, she said the lights would flicker on and off, and the cabinet doors would slam, open and slam, open and slam. Ghosts need energy to manifest. And it's easier to open something like a cabinet door than it is like a great big door. I wonder if there's cake. So we go find out.
I'll go find it.
Bring us all some, okay? Does anybody know what this building was in the 1960s? What is it? What's your guess? A police station? Is that what you said? In the 1960s, there was a police station. Now, the medium says, I don't know what this means, but it's teeming with cops. But they're not dressed the same as they do now. It's a different era. And sure enough, in the 1960s, it was a police station. It was also the jail. Pretty nice for a jail, isn't it? There's the same stained glass windows throughout also. He also sees a woman from a different era, and she's at the front door, and she's trying to get in. My rings, she says, my rings are in there. I've got to get my rings. It was in the 40s and the 50s, a funeral home. Her body was prepared, and her rings were removed. And she says they're in a drawer. I need to find them. You already know that? I didn't know that. Yes, sir? But it looks like a funeral home, doesn't it? Yeah. I thought it was a funeral home.
That house. Funeral home? This is that house making money. That house is making money. That house is making money there. A police station and a funeral home? Who is? She, not me. Out to make money. I'll catch y'all at the next destination.
I want to take you back to the Civil War. At that time, about 3 blocks beyond our way, there was a cemetery, and it was there was a black church there. And the minister was a man named Bartley Harris. And Bartley Harris was asked by the wealthy white people if he would keep their valuables away from the Union soldiers. The Union soldiers could go into your house and they could take anything they wanted. They had a nice polite word for it. They called it foraging. So he said, okay, he took their valuables. Now he could have bought his own freedom and that of everybody in his congregation, but that would be stealing and dishonorable. In retaliation, the Union soldiers burned the church down. The church then was rebuilt after the Civil War. Money was appropriated to them, and it was built. See where that historic marker is down the street, across the street? See that red truck is right in front of that. St. Bartley's Primitive Baptist Church. It is the mother church of all of the Primitive Baptist churches in the state of Alabama. Named for Bartley Harris, their saintly minister. So we made contact with Bartley Harris while we were there. He says, don't call me a minister, don't call me a reverend. I'm a holy man. Now the first minister of that church was also last name Harris. I said, were you related? No. William Harris was his name. We called him Sir. Everybody else called him Bill. And St. Bartley's Primitive Baptist Church was torn down in the 1960s when this road was placed, and it is now on Belafonte Avenue. It is a very large congregation, very historic. But the ghost of Bartley Harris is still there. There are, if you look up on the internet, you'll find some photographs of some baptisms down at the Big Spring. And they were done in the springtime. Hundreds of people were baptized at the same time. It's a really cool picture. So I asked him, what was it like that day? He said, it was loud. I'm sure it was. He is wearing a white robe, and there's a cloth that goes around the minister's neck when they're wearing their robe. Now, different congregations have different names for that cloth, and the color changes according to the different season, religious season. The cloth that he's wearing is white with his white robe. We have come across a painting that was done of him by Maria Howard Wheaton. She became, is there anybody here who doesn't know who she was? Okay. She was famous for painting the portraits of former slaves after the Civil War with reverence and dignity, not in caricature. And she was very nearsighted, so she used a paintbrush that only had 3 bristles. And the detail was so fine that it looked like photographs. She did a portrait of him wearing a red cloth around his neck. And so I played a trick on our medium. I got a copy of that portrait, and I showed it to him, and I said, you know who this might be? I didn't give him any hints. He said, that's Reverend Bartley Harris. But there's a difference. He said the cloth that the ghost is wearing is white, not red. And he says there's blood trickling out of one nostril. We don't know what that means. We could not find anything in our research to indicate what that means. It had something to do, we're pretty sure, with his death. It may have been even, I don't know, tuberculosis, a hemorrhage, some kind of hemorrhage. We don't know. I tell this because someday somebody on the tour may know that answer. That was the one thing we could not verify. He says everything has changed. Cars? Everything has changed except the railroad. And that is true. The railroad was established in 1850. But everything else is different. All right. Let's go not very far.
Yep. The next definition. Yep.
Is that getting heavy for you to carry?
Well,
When we came here, our medium said that something was gathering, like a vapor coming out of the ground. And pretty soon, just kind of looking over his shoulder, pretty soon, body materialized. The ghost of a body materialized. Who are you? Brandon. Thomas Brandon. I said, I know who you are. You and your brother William were architects here in early Huntsville history in the early 1800s. He said, we were not architects, we were bricklayers. No, you were much more than that. Our history books write about the Brandon brothers. They came into a town made out of logs and wood and turned it into a city made out of brick and stone. And he says, he tells us that he built some of the inns around town that are no longer standing. And he says, what do you think about the courthouse? Oh, no, I know that you and your brother finished building the first courthouse here in town. He said, yes, not the second one with the clock and not the third one with the dome. No, the other way around. Dome and clock. He says the angles are all wrong on the courthouse that we have now. Would you agree? The reason the angles are so strange is because the courthouse is built over a cave. And the deepest part of the cave is under the shortest part of the courthouse. Just in case. So, just in case, I usually mail in my car tag money. Have him mail it back to me. He says, what do you think of the buildings around here? Look at these buildings behind me. He says, what do you think of those buildings? I said, I think they're hideous. I think they should be torn down and we should start over. He says, my sentiments exactly. He says, ask the people when they come, when you bring them here, what do they think of the buildings? So I'm asking you, do you like these buildings?
yeah.
Just plain. Yeah. And by the way, when we're not doing the tours, which is 10 months out of the year, when we come back, he says, where have you been? Bring the people back here. I want to talk to them. He's got a broken little finger. He says it was an accident when he was laying bricks. He walked up to my husband and he says, you look just like my nephew. His name is also Thomas Brandon. Well, that would kind of creep you out, wouldn't it? So we checked. Sure enough, he had a nephew named Thomas. I could not find any pictures of him. That would kind of weird me out. But I said, if you don't like the buildings here, why are you here? He says, because this is so beautiful. What Huntsville has done with this area is so beautiful. That's why I'm here. Our medium said, where are you from? He showed him a map of Virginia. But it was a different map than what we know Virginia to be now. He was born in the 1700s. Now, what's different now than from the 1700s? You got it. Oh, West Virginia was part of Virginia in the 1700s. That's the coolest, isn't it?
Yep.
All right, we're going to go into the big tree park.
Get up when you get back.